My parents didn't love me in childhood, and when I grew up, they wanted me to pay them for living in their house while I was going to school. I'm not really sure where to start with this, but I feel like I need to get it off my chest. My name is Jake, and I'm currently a junior in college. Looking back, I realize that my childhood was filled with a lot of emotional pain, mostly due to the lack of attention and affection from my parents. I'm hoping that sharing my story here will help me process some of this and maybe get some advice on how to move forward. Growing up, my parents were always busy. My dad was a workaholic, always putting in extra hours at the office, and my mom was a socialite, more concerned with her friends and social events than with me. As an only child, I often felt like an afterthought. They provided for me materially. I had all the toys I could ever want, went to a good school, and we lived in a nice house, but emotionally, I was neglected. One of my earliest memories is of my 5th birthday. My parents had promised me a big party with all my friends from preschool. I was so excited, but on the day of the party, my dad had to work late, and my mom completely forgot to send out the invitations. I remember sitting alone in the backyard with a small cake, waiting for friends who never came. When my mom finally remembered, she laughed it off, saying, "Oh, well, just have to do it another time." That time never came. In elementary school, things didn't get any better. I was a shy kid, and making friends was hard. My parents' constant absence only made things worse. I remember once in 3rd grade, I had worked really hard on a science project. It was a model of the solar system, and I was so proud of it. The night before the presentation, I asked my dad to help me double-check everything. He was sitting at the kitchen table with his laptop and just glanced over it, saying, "Looks fine to me, buddy." He didn't even look up from his screen. The next day, I discovered I had made a mistake. I had placed the planets in the wrong order. I got laughed at by my classmates, and my teacher was disappointed. That evening, when I told my parents what happened, my dad just shrugged and said, "You'll do better next time," and my mom wasn't even home to hear about it. Middle school was probably the hardest. By then, I had learned not to expect much from my parents. They missed my school plays, didn't show up for parent-teacher conferences, and forgot about most of my birthdays. The emotional pain turned into a deep-seated feeling of inadequacy. I started to believe that I wasn't worth their time and attention. I remember one particularly painful incident in 7th grade. I had made it to the finals of the school spelling bee, something I was incredibly proud of. The night before, I asked my mom if she would come to watch me. She promised she would. I remember standing on that stage, scanning the audience for her face. She never showed up. I lost in the final round because I couldn't focus, and when I got home, she casually mentioned that she had forgotten because she had a lunch date with her friends. High school was a blur of loneliness and self-doubt. I tried to find solace in my studies, and I did well academically, but the lack of emotional support at home took its toll. My parents continued to be emotionally unavailable. They paid for tutors and extracurricular activities, but they never once asked me how I was doing or if I was happy. My achievements felt hollow because I had no one to share them with. I remember my high school graduation. As I walked across the stage to get my diploma, I looked into the audience and saw other families cheering and celebrating. My parents were there, but they were on their phones the whole time. After the ceremony, my dad patted me on the back and said, "Good job, Jake," before quickly checking his email. My mom was more interested in taking selfies than talking to me about my future. When I started high school, I was determined to make friends and create a life for myself outside of my neglectful home. It wasn't easy, but I managed to find a small group of friends who were into the same nerdy stuff I was: video games, comic books, and sci-fi movies. These friends became my family, providing me with the emotional support I lacked at home. One of the most significant events of my high school years was meeting Mrs. Thompson, my English teacher. She was tough, strict, and had a reputation for being a tyrant. On my first day in her class, she handed out a massive reading list and told us to expect weekly essays. Most kids were terrified of her, and I was no exception. I quickly discovered that Mrs. Thompson wasn't just tough for the sake of being tough. She genuinely cared about her students' education and personal growth. She pushed me harder than any teacher ever had, but she also encouraged me to believe in myself. I remember one particular assignment where we had to write a personal essay about a significant life event. I wrote about my parents' neglect and how it had affected me. I was terrified to turn it in, but Mrs. Thompson's feedback was the first time someone acknowledged my pain and told me it was valid. She wrote, "Jake, you are stronger than you know. Your story is important, and you have a voice that deserves to be heard." Mrs. Thompson's class became a safe haven for me. She introduced me to classic literature, encouraged me to join the debate team, and pushed me to apply for college scholarships. She was the first adult who believed in me, and her belief gave me the confidence to pursue my dreams. She even took the time to talk to me after class, asking about my plans for the future and offering advice. It was through her guidance that I realized I wanted to go to college and study literature. Despite the support I found at school, the situation at home remained the same. My parents were indifferent to my achievements and uninterested in my plans for the future. When I received a scholarship to attend a prestigious university, they barely acknowledged it. My dad's response was a gruff, "Good for you, son," and my mom's was, "Well, I hope you know what you're doing." It was Mrs. Thompson who celebrated with me, who hugged me and told me how proud she was. Starting university was both exciting and terrifying. It was my first time living away from home, and I was eager to build a new life for myself. I threw myself into my studies, determined to make the most of the opportunity I had been given. I made new friends and joined various clubs, finally feeling like I belonged somewhere. But even at university, the scars from my childhood didn't disappear. I struggled with self-doubt and anxiety, constantly feeling like I wasn't good enough. I remember one particularly difficult night during my freshman year. I had a major paper due, and I was overwhelmed with stress. I called my parents, hoping for some encouragement. My dad answered, and when I explained how stressed I was, he just said, "You'll figure it out, Jake. You always do," before quickly ending the call. My mom didn't even bother to pick up. I ended up crying in my dorm room, feeling more alone than ever. Despite these challenges, I continued to push forward. I excelled academically and formed close bonds with my professors, who provided me with the mentorship I desperately needed. One of my professors, Dr. Harris, became a father figure to me. He took the time to discuss my goals, offer guidance, and even wrote me recommendations for internships and scholarships. His support helped me realize that I could achieve great things, even if my parents didn't believe in me. Throughout my college years, I continued to grapple with the emotional pain from my childhood. My parents' indifference was a constant reminder of my feelings of inadequacy. But with the support of my friends and mentors, I began to heal and find my own path. I learned to value myself and my accomplishments, even if my parents never would. After years of dealing with my emotionally unavailable parents, I finally decided to leave my hometown and move to another city. It was a tough decision, but I knew it was necessary for my own mental health and personal growth. My friends from college, who had become like family to me, decided to join me on this new adventure. We settled in a city a few hours away, a vibrant place with a thriving arts and technology scene. It was the perfect environment for us to start fresh and pursue our passion for 3D design. My friends and I had always been interested in 3D modeling and animation, but we had never had the time or resources to fully dedicate ourselves to it. Now, with a new city and new opportunities, we were ready to dive in head first. Our group consisted of 4 people: me, Jake, my best friend from college, Mike, who was a tech genius and loved everything related to computers, Sarah, a talented artist with a keen eye for detail, and Tom, a brilliant storyteller and writer who could bring our creations to life with his words. We rented a small apartment together, converting the living room into our workspace. It was cramped, but we didn't mind. We were driven by our passion and the excitement of starting something new. We spent countless hours learning new software, experimenting with different techniques, and creating our first portfolio pieces. One evening, after a long day of work, Mike stumbled upon an online forum for 3D artists. It was a place where professionals and enthusiasts alike shared their work, gave feedback, and posted job opportunities. We decided to create a profile and upload some of our best work. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and within a few weeks we received our first commission. Our first project was to create a 3D model for a small indie game developer. It was a challenging task, but we were thrilled. We worked day and night, fueled by coffee and adrenaline, and delivered the project on time. The client was impressed with our work and promised to recommend us to others. Word spread quickly, and soon we were receiving more and more job offers. We started working on a variety of projects, from 3D models for video games to animations for marketing campaigns. Our little apartment became a buzzing hive of creativity and productivity. We were making a name for ourselves in the industry, and it felt amazing. One night, while browsing through some 3D design blogs, I came across an ad for a 3D design conference happening in our city. It was a chance to meet other professionals, learn from the best in the field, and showcase our work. We pooled our money together and bought tickets. The conference was a game changer for us. We attended workshops, networked with industry leaders, and showcased our portfolio. It was there that we met Lisa, a talented 3D artist who worked for a well-known animation studio. She was impressed with our work and offered to mentor us. Lisa became a valuable advisor, helping us refine our skills and navigate the industry. Amidst all the excitement and hard work, I met Emma. She was a fellow attendee at the conference, a graphic designer with a passion for 3D art. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared interests and dreams. Emma was smart, funny, and incredibly supportive. She understood my struggles and was always there to lift my spirits when things got tough. As our relationship grew, I found myself dedicating more time to Emma. We spent our weekends exploring the city, visiting art galleries, and trying out new cafes. She became my rock, grounding me when the stress of work became overwhelming. Our connection deepened, and soon we were inseparable. Back at our apartment, things were going better than ever. We had landed a few high-profile projects, and our reputation was growing. But success didn't come without challenges. We faced tight deadlines, creative differences, and the constant pressure to stay ahead of the competition. One particularly stressful project nearly tore us apart. We had been hired to create a series of 3D animations for a major ad campaign. The client was demanding, the deadlines were tight, and the workload was massive. We were pulling all-nighters, barely sleeping, and tensions were running high. One night, after a particularly heated argument about the direction of the project, Sarah stormed out of the apartment. We were all exhausted and on edge, and the stress had finally boiled over. I found her sitting alone in a nearby park, tears streaming down her face. We talked for hours, airing our grievances and reassuring each other that we were in this together. We returned to the apartment with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. We apologized to each other, made some compromises, and finished the project. The client was thrilled with the final product, and we received a substantial bonus for our hard work. As our business continued to grow, we decided it was time to move to a bigger place. We found a spacious loft in a trendy part of the city, with enough room for each of us to have our own workspace. It was a significant upgrade, and it felt like a reward for all the hard work we had put in. Around this time, I introduced Emma to my friends. She fit in perfectly, and soon she became an integral part of our group. Her design skills were invaluable, and she often collaborated with us on projects. Our little team had grown, and we were closer than ever, but life had a way of throwing curveballs. One day, while working on a particularly demanding project, we received devastating news. Mike had been in a car accident. He was rushed to the hospital with severe injuries, and we were all in shock. The next few days were a blur of hospital visits, sleepless nights, and anxious waiting. Mike's recovery was slow and painful. He had multiple surgeries and months of physical therapy ahead of him. We took turns visiting him, bringing him work updates and trying to keep his spirits up. It was a tough time for all of us, but it brought us even closer together. We supported each other through the uncertainty and fear, and our bond grew stronger. Despite the challenges, we continued to push forward. Mike's accident made us realize how fragile life could be, and it fueled our determination to succeed. We worked harder than ever, taking on bigger and more ambitious projects. Our client list grew, and so did our reputation. During this time, my relationship with Emma deepened. She was my anchor, providing unwavering support and love. We talked about our future, our dreams, and our plans. It felt like everything was finally falling into place. As our business flourished, we faced new opportunities and challenges. One of our most significant projects came when we were approached by a major film studio to create 3D models and animations for a blockbuster movie. It was a dream come true, but it also meant stepping up our game and delivering at a whole new level. We assembled a team of freelancers to help with the workload and dove into the project with everything we had. The deadlines were grueling, and the pressure was immense, but the experience was exhilarating. We learned new techniques, pushed our creative boundaries, and delivered work that we were incredibly proud of. The movie was a huge success, and our contribution was praised by industry professionals. It opened doors to more high-profile projects and solidified our place in the 3D design world. We were on top of the world, and it felt like there was no limit to what we could achieve. But with success came new challenges. The workload was intense, and the constant pressure took its toll on our mental health. We realized we needed to find a balance between work and personal life to avoid burning out. We started taking regular breaks, organizing team-building activities, and making time for self-care. One of the most shocking events happened during a company retreat. We had rented a cabin in the mountains for a weekend getaway, hoping to relax and recharge. On the second night, a massive storm hit, knocking out the power and leaving us stranded. We were cut off from the outside world, with no cell service and limited supplies. The situation quickly turned into a survival challenge. We had to ration our food, find ways to stay warm, and keep our spirits up. It was a test of our resilience and teamwork. We shared stories, played games, and supported each other through the uncertainty. When the storm finally cleared and we were able to get back to civilization, we felt even more connected and grateful for each other. Back in the city, we continued to grow our business and take on exciting new projects. Our team expanded, and we hired more talented designers and developers. We moved into a larger office space with state-of-the-art equipment and a creative, collaborative environment. My relationship with Emma continued to thrive. We moved in together, and our lives became even more intertwined. We supported each other through the ups and downs, celebrated our successes, and faced our challenges together. One of the most significant turning points in my life came when I decided to confront my parents. Years of therapy and self-reflection had helped me understand the impact of their neglect on my mental health, and I knew I needed closure. With Emma by my side, I visited them and had an honest, heartfelt conversation. It wasn't easy, and there were a lot of tears and difficult moments, but it felt liberating to finally express my feelings and let go of the pain. My parents apologized for their shortcomings, and while our relationship was far from perfect, it was a step towards healing. Life continued to throw surprises our way. We landed a massive project with a tech giant, creating 3D models for their latest VR product. It was a challenging and innovative project, pushing the boundaries of what we could do. We worked tirelessly, collaborating with their team and integrating cutting-edge technology into our designs. As our business grew, we started giving back to the community. We organized workshops and mentoring programs for aspiring 3D artists, sharing our knowledge and helping others achieve their dreams. It was incredibly rewarding to see the impact we could make and to be part of a supportive and inspiring community. One of the most shocking and transformative events happened during a conference we attended in Europe. We had been invited to speak about our journey and share our expertise. The conference was a massive gathering of industry leaders, and it was an incredible honor to be part of it. On the last night of the conference, there was a gala dinner, and we were all excited to celebrate. As we were mingling and enjoying the evening, we noticed a commotion near the entrance. A well-known 3D artist, someone we had admired for years, had collapsed. It turned out he had suffered a heart attack. The room was filled with panic and uncertainty. Paramedics arrived quickly and took him to the hospital. We were all shaken by the incident, and it made us reflect on the importance of health and balance in our lives. The next day, we visited him in the hospital. He was stable and recovering, but the experience had been a wake-up call for him, too. We spent hours talking about our journeys, the pressures of the industry, and the need to prioritize our well-being. It was a powerful reminder that success is not just about achievements, but also about taking care of ourselves and each other. Back home, we implemented new wellness initiatives in our company. We encouraged regular breaks, provided mental health support, and fostered a culture of balance and well-being. It made a significant difference in our team's morale and productivity. My relationship with Emma continued to flourish. We traveled together, explored new places, and created beautiful memories. She was my partner in every sense, and I couldn't imagine my life without her. One of the most surprising and heartwarming moments came when Emma proposed to me. It was a beautiful, intimate moment, just the two of us at our favorite spot by the lake. She had planned everything perfectly, and her heartfelt words brought tears to my eyes. I said yes, and we celebrated our engagement with our friends and family. As we planned our future together, our business continued to thrive. We took on more ambitious projects, collaborated with top-tier clients, and expanded our team. We were living our dream, and it felt incredible. But life had one more shocking twist in store for us. One evening, while we were all working late at the office, we received a call from the police. Our office had been broken into, and valuable equipment and data had been stolen. It was a devastating blow, and we felt violated and vulnerable. We quickly rallied together, assessing the damage and contacting our clients to explain the situation. The support we received was overwhelming, and it reinforced our belief in the strength of our community. We worked tirelessly to recover our losses, improve our security, and rebuild our confidence. The incident brought us closer together, and we emerged stronger and more resilient. We learned valuable lessons about trust, security, and the importance of supporting each other through tough times. Looking back on our journey, I'm amazed at how far we've come. From a small apartment with a makeshift workspace to a thriving business with a talented team and exciting projects, we've achieved more than we ever dreamed possible. We've faced challenges, celebrated successes, and grown together as a family. And through it all, Emma has been my constant source of love and support. Our relationship has weathered the storms and come out stronger on the other side. We're excited about our future together, both personally and professionally. Life will undoubtedly continue to surprise us, but I know we're ready to face whatever comes our way. With the support of my friends, my team, and my partner, I feel confident and hopeful about the future. We've built something incredible together, and I'm grateful for every moment of this journey. Life continued at its own pace, and everything seemed perfect. Our business was thriving, my relationship with Emma was stronger than ever, and my friends and I felt like we had achieved our dreams. But life had other plans for us, and everything changed one day when my parents showed up unannounced at our office. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon when they walked through the door. I hadn't seen them in years, and their sudden appearance took me by surprise. My initial shock quickly turned to confusion as they began to demand money. They argued that I owed them for all the years I had lived with them rent-free during my childhood and adolescence. The absurdity of their claim left me speechless. The confrontation quickly escalated. My parents accused me of being ungrateful and selfish, while I tried to explain how their neglect had affected me. The argument grew louder, and my friends and colleagues watched in stunned silence. Emma tried to intervene, but my parents were relentless. They insisted that I owed them a substantial amount of money, claiming it was compensation for my upbringing. After hours of heated exchange, my parents threatened to take legal action if I didn't comply with their demands. They left the office, leaving a trail of confusion and anger in their wake. My friends and I were in disbelief. We had faced many challenges together, but this was something entirely different. True to their word, my parents filed a lawsuit against me. They claimed that I had exploited them by living under their roof without paying my fair share. The lawsuit became a media sensation, and the stress of the impending court case weighed heavily on me. As the trial date approached, the tension between my parents and me only intensified. They continued to make outrageous demands, and their lawyer presented an exaggerated narrative of my childhood. It was painful to see my life reduced to a series of accusations and lies. The courtroom was a battlefield. My parents' lawyer argued that I owed them a significant sum for the cost of raising me. My lawyer, on the other hand, highlighted their emotional neglect and the lack of support they had provided. Witnesses were called, including my friends, teachers, and even Mrs. Thompson, my high school English teacher, who testified about the emotional pain I had endured. During one particularly intense day in court, my father dropped a bombshell revelation. He confessed that I was not his biological son, but rather the result of an affair my mother had years ago. The courtroom erupted in gasps and murmurs. This revelation not only shocked me, but also my mother, who had been unaware that my father knew the truth. My mother was furious and threatened my father with divorce right there in the courtroom. The judge had to call for order as the proceedings descended into chaos. The trial was adjourned for the day, giving everyone time to process the shocking turn of events. Outside the courtroom, the tension was palpable. My mother confronted my father, accusing him of betrayal and dishonesty. My father's revelation had shattered the fragile facade of their marriage, and their relationship was on the brink of collapse. Meanwhile, I was left grappling with the revelation of my true parentage and the turmoil it had caused. As the trial resumed, my parents' credibility was severely undermined. Their demands for compensation seemed even more absurd in light of the revelations about their dysfunctional marriage and my true parentage. My lawyer argued that their actions were driven by greed and a desire to exploit me further. The trial took another dramatic turn when Child Protective Services got involved. Given the nature of the revelations and the documented neglect I had suffered, they launched an investigation into my parents' fitness as guardians. It was determined that they were unfit to care for any children, and they were stripped of their parental rights. The courtroom drama was far from over. During a heated cross-examination, my mother admitted that she had known about my true parentage, but had kept it a secret out of fear and shame. This admission further eroded their credibility and painted a picture of a deeply troubled and dysfunctional family. Outside the courtroom, the media frenzy continued. Reporters hounded us for statements, and the public was captivated by the scandalous details of the trial. The stress and pressure were overwhelming, but I found solace in the support of my friends, Emma, and my newfound extended family of colleagues. The judge finally delivered the verdict. The court dismissed my parents' claims for compensation, citing their neglect and the dysfunctional environment they had created. The judge also acknowledged the emotional trauma I had endured and ruled that my parents were to have no further contact with me. The trial was over, but the aftermath was just beginning. My parents' marriage crumbled, and they went their separate ways. The media eventually lost interest, and life slowly began to return to normal. However, the experience left deep scars, and I struggled to come to terms with everything that had happened. Emma was my rock during this tumultuous time. She stood by me, offering unwavering support and love. Together, we began to rebuild our lives. My friends and I continued to grow our business, but we also made sure to prioritize our mental health and well-being. We had learned the hard way that success was meaningless without balance and support. The ordeal with my parents had a profound impact on me. It forced me to confront my past, accept my true parentage, and find closure. It also brought me closer to the people who truly cared about me. My friends, Emma, and my extended family of colleagues had shown me the meaning of true support and love. As life moved forward, we faced new challenges and opportunities. Our business continued to thrive, and we expanded into new markets. We took on even more ambitious projects, pushing the boundaries of what we could achieve. We also made a conscious effort to give back to the community, mentoring aspiring artists and supporting various charitable causes. One of the most rewarding experiences was working on a project for a nonprofit organization that provided educational resources to underprivileged children. We created a series of engaging and interactive 3D animations that made learning fun and accessible. The project was a huge success, and it felt incredibly fulfilling to use our skills to make a positive impact. Emma and I also started planning our future together. We talked about starting a family, traveling the world, and continuing to grow both personally and professionally. The trials we had faced had strengthened our bond, and we were ready to take on whatever life threw at us. But life, as always, had its own plans. One evening, while we were all working late at the office, we received a call that shook us to our core. Tom, our brilliant storyteller and writer, had been in a serious accident. He was hit by a drunk driver and was in critical condition. We rushed to the hospital, our hearts heavy with fear and uncertainty. The next few days were agonizing. Tom underwent multiple surgeries and his condition remained critical. We took turns keeping vigil at the hospital, hoping and praying for his recovery. The accident brought back painful memories of Mike's ordeal, and the fear of losing another close friend was almost unbearable. Miraculously, Tom began to show signs of improvement. His recovery was slow, but he was a fighter. The support of his family, friends, and colleagues played a crucial role in his healing process. We were there for him every step of the way, just as we had been for Mike. As Tom recovered, we made significant changes to our lives. We implemented stricter work-life balance policies in our company, ensuring that everyone had time to rest and recharge. We also started a campaign against drunk driving, raising awareness about its dangers and supporting victims and their families. The experience taught us the importance of resilience, support, and community. We had faced numerous challenges and had come out stronger each time. Our bond as friends and colleagues was unbreakable, and we were determined to continue making a positive impact in the world. In the years that followed, we achieved many of our dreams. Our business flourished, and we became leaders in the 3D design industry. We traveled to different countries, attended conferences, and collaborated with some of the biggest names in the field. We also continued to support charitable causes, using our success to give back to the community. Emma and I got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by our friends and family. It was a day filled with love, joy, and gratitude. We promised to support each other through thick and thin, knowing that we could face any challenge together. As we settled into married life, we started planning for the future. We talked about starting a family and creating a loving and supportive environment for our children. The experiences of my past had taught me the importance of love, support, and understanding, and I was determined to be the best parent I could be. One of the most profound moments came when we decided to adopt a child. We wanted to provide a loving home for a child who needed it, and it felt like the right decision for us. The adoption process was long and challenging, but it was also incredibly rewarding. When we finally brought our son home, it was a moment of pure joy and fulfillment. He brought so much love and light into our lives, and we were grateful for the opportunity to be his parents. We surrounded him with love, support, and encouragement, determined to give him the childhood I had always longed for. Life was not without its challenges, but we faced them together. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but it had also been rich with love, growth, and achievement. We had built a life we were proud of, and we were excited about the future. As I look back on my journey, I am filled with gratitude for the people who stood by me, the challenges that shaped me, and the successes we achieved. My friends Emma and our extended family of colleagues had shown me the true meaning of love and support. Together, we had created something beautiful, and I knew that whatever the future held, we would face it with courage and resilience. The trials with my parents, the courtroom drama, and the revelations about my true parentage had been painful, but they had also been a catalyst for growth and change. They had forced me to confront my past, find closure, and build a life on my own terms, and for that, I was grateful. Life is unpredictable, filled with both joy and sorrow, success and failure. But with the support of those we love and the determination to keep moving forward, we can overcome any obstacle and create a life filled with purpose, love, and fulfillment. And that is the greatest lesson I have learned on this incredible journey.